This year promises to be a spectacular affair as beauties of the Caribbean compete on one stage for the title of Miss Caribbean United. Come see contestants from the islands of Trinidad, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, Nevis, St. Vincent, Anguilla, Dominica, Venezuela, Antigua, Dominican Republic, Margarita, Barbados, and host country Grenada. It's the 2018 Miss Caribbean United pageant, Saturday, June 2nd at the Spice Basket, uniting the Caribbean through beauty.
Pull your phone, tap this screen. Double times road match winners 2016, 2017, and 2018. We're gonna make some history in Grenada. Last year it was mass. This year is just more mass. Talking about Spice Mass 2018. We want everybody to come, support, and let's have a good time on the Spice Isle. It's all about enjoyment and fun. Pretty mass and colors and jab and everything. So we just want everybody to unite, and it's all about tapping the screen. They can't wait for us to come. Remember, come and experience the greatest carnival of all. And also come and experience the beaches and the beautiful island, right? It's all about 2018 Spice Mass Carnival. Come enjoy. Last night I drink the rum and I'm falling numb, but I know this morning I'm waking up. Tap the screen. Pull your phone. Remember, it could be epic. 2018 Mass. Tonight. Standing firm, boy.
The Child Protection Authority, in conjunction with its partners, invite you to come along on an island-wide motorcade against child abuse from 9 a.m. on Saturday, April 28th, beginning at Old Trafford Canteen. Come raise awareness, encourage community action against child abuse. Come show your commitment to protecting our children. Also meet and have fun with the CPA mascot. It's the All Against Child Abuse Island-wide motorcade. Remember the date, Saturday, April 28th from 9 a.m. Everyone is invited. Wear something white.
Pull your phone, tap this screen. Double times road match winners 2016, 2017, and 2018. We're gonna make some history in Grenada. Last year it was mass. This year is just more mass. Talking about Spice Mass 2018. We want everybody to come, support, and let's have a good time on the Spice Isle. It's all about enjoyment and fun. Pretty mass and colors and jab and everything. So we just want everybody to unite, and it's all about tapping the screen. They can't wait for us to come. Remember, come and experience the greatest carnival of all. And also come and experience the beaches and the beautiful island, right? It's all about 2018 Spice Mass Carnival. Come enjoy. Last night I drink the rum and I'm falling numb, but I know this morning I'm waking up. Tap the screen. Pull your phone. Remember, it could be epic. 2018 Mass. Tonight. Standing firm, boy.
The Child Protection Authority, in conjunction with its partners, invite you to come along on an island-wide motorcade against child abuse from 9 a.m. on Saturday, April 28th, beginning at Old Trafford Canteen. Come raise awareness, encourage community action against child abuse. Come show your commitment to protecting our children. Also meet and have fun with the CPA mascot. It's the All Against Child Abuse Island-wide motorcade. Remember the date, Saturday, April 28th from 9 a.m. Everyone is invited. Wear something white.
morning to you, members of the media, and good morning to our listening and viewing public. This morning, we are especially happy to welcome to the post-cabinet briefing our Prime Minister, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. We also have with us the Minister for Climate Change, for Climate Resilience, Disaster Management, Forestry, Fisheries, the Environment, and Information, Honorable Simon Steele. Now we know that Prime Minister has been traveling quite a bit since elections. He has had a number of abroad engagements in places like New York and Toronto, and only last week he attended the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in London. So we'll hear about all of those this morning, as well as the other initiatives that government has been embarking on or is embarking on in this new term. So I welcome Prime Minister to address us, and then we'll segue to Minister Steele, and then we'll take your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Keisha. Good morning to media brothers and sisters. I welcome this opportunity once again to have this dialogue with you, as this is the first press conference of this nature since the general elections in March 13th. So, and just to say, as I have said to my colleagues, that while most of them could have had a break in terms of the work, I have had no break at all, because I've had to be involved in all aspects of getting government, the governance of the country, for this period moving forward. So, and that of course included the appointment of ministers to different portfolios, which you of course have that in your possession and the knowledge of that, and also the question of the appointment of senators, which of course is a work. I think maybe we'll say by today. I think it's almost at the end of that process. I will be giving you more specific information in a while. We to comment on the general elections as a comment, if you've heard me speak to it before, that we're clearly satisfied that the people have given us a new mandate, and a very strong one in the sense of the absolute nature of the results. And but we're also clear that to whom a lot is given, a lot is expected. So we don't treat the results as a time just of jubilation and to knock our chests, but to also think of the consequences of that decision and the necessity to be able to meet what is clearly the expectations of the people, particularly the young people of our country. So we take the results as in that context, and I've of course spoken to my colleagues of the necessity to treat it in that particular manner. In going forward, as you remember, we appointed 4 senators already, and as government, as the Constitution stipulates, that the Governor General appoints 7 senators on the advice of the Prime Minister. I have already given 4 such advice. The following would be the other 3 senators. Mr. Jude Cadet, who is the present president of the youth arm of the new National Party. I did promise the party that the post-election that we will recognize the work of the youth arm of our party by the appointment of someone from their particular area to send the right message that we firmly believe that the young people have a very good idea of what they want.
and that we can't decide by ourselves what they wish to have, and therefore having one of their own in the mix of what we're doing send the right message. So that's why they basically had recommended that the president be the one to be given the opportunity at this particular time. Then we've got very good positive recommendation from not just inside the party but outside of the party, that we're asking Ms. Katisha Williams, who chaired that the swearing-in ceremony at Queen's Park, who I think everyone indicated that they felt she did a very professional job, and from reports about her own professional work, we've got high commendation. And we're thinking again, there's a young person and it's sending the right message. In addition to the fact that she's young, she's also a female member, and the necessity to ensure that we have as much balance in the Senate as we have in the lower house, as far as the sexes are concerned. And the last one from the government side recommendation is Ms. Kim George, the lawyer. I'm sure you know, most of you would know Kim George, as a lawyer who has distinguished career so far in the legal fraternity. And from all indications, she came with very strong recommendation from party members and from the public as a whole. So that rounds up the 7 members from the government side. We have, as the Constitution stipulates, the Governor General appoints 3 senators from the different bodies, non-governmental bodies, the trade union movement historically so, the agricultural sector, and the business community. We now have the recommendation from all 3 of them. The recommendation from Labour is Mr. Andre Lewis, who is the president of the TUC. The farmers' representative would be Mr. Dr. Dustin Campbell, whom I myself know very well. Went to school during my period of time in school. He's GBSS, and I went, I think, to the Better Institution, Presentation College. And from business, they got this from this yesterday or this morning. Mr. Christopher Dialli would again represent the business community in the Senate. The other representative, the governor, as you know, since we have no opposition, the 2013, the governor then, Sir Carlisle Glean, made the choice of 3 representatives and chose all 3 from the party that commanded the second largest share of votes in the general elections, which was the National Democratic Congress. And he by himself, without any consultation at all, chose those persons and appointed them accordingly. So it's where the Constitution stipulates it's the choice of the Governor General. He or she does not have to consult any person. So the governor has written, she wrote from, and I think I'm able to say that she did write this party that has the second largest share of votes in the general elections, that's the National Democratic Congress, sought to have recommendations from them. They sent her 3 recommendations, and they indicated from all indication they did not want any member of their party who ran in the last general election recommended for the Senate. So they gave us 3 members. They gave her, sorry, not her, us, 3 persons. And she, in deliberate judgment, has decided that she would take 2 of those persons, Karen James, who was attached to associate with National Democratic Congress. They gave his name. And the lady, Miss Karen James, and Mr. Ron Redhead. They're both young persons from all I know. I don't know those individuals, but they're both young people from what I understand. I don't know them. Some of you might know them probably better than I do. And the last one was Mrs. Glennis Roberts. She has appointed 3 persons: Karen James, Glennis Roberts. So it looks, colleagues, that we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, four women and a lot of men. The rest are men. Based on the numbers I have in front of me, it appears that 5. I'm being corrected by my colleague here, Senator Steele. Colleagues, so that rounds up the question of appointments. You all know I was extremely busy also in dealing with the question of the appointment of as permanent secretaries and the ensuring, as you would know, that you need to having decided which ministers would be in charge of which ministries and which portfolio, ensuring that you can have a good mix of persons working together. So all these were on my shoulders. So it's not a question of just putting a PS there to work and putting another one. You have to ask yourself a number of questions because you want to be as effective as possible in the running of those departments. So I have clearly been heavily involved in the recommendation, as the Constitution stipulates, that the Public Service Commission appoints on the recommendation, the Governor General, through the Public Service Commission appoints after recommendation from the Prime Minister. So those have been done, and ensuring, hopefully so, that you have the best possible mix, given the constitutional limitations that we're working with, that we will be able to effect the work of government as effectively as possible. So here we are. As the press secretary indicated, even in the face of all these activities that I have to be involved in, I had to make some visits to 2 cities, Toronto and London. I had to go to Toronto partly because of family commitments. My uncle who passed away, my last surviving uncle, passed away in Toronto, and I used the opportunity to address the Grenadian community in Toronto at the same time. And I must say that this was one of the better meetings that I've held abroad in Toronto. The reception was extremely warm and positive. I think Grenadians abroad in Toronto, what I saw with the general election results, we're clearly wanting to do what they can to help to bring further progress to the country. And they recognize the fact that the partisan battle is over and that we have a country to run. And many of them, as you know, most of them, probably all of them, are looking at how the country they want to return to when most of them retire. And therefore, they want to make sure that they involve themselves as best as possible in ensuring that we have the best governance system in our country when they return home. And to also ensure that their relatives and friends who are in Grenada have the best opportunity for successes in whatever area, whether it's healthcare, education, infrastructure, whatever area of services, they would want to ensure that they have the best opportunity. So Then I went to London, as you know, primarily was to attend the Heads of Government conference in London. Again, I would say that it was a highly successful event. Grenada, as you know, as chairman of small states, and the role we have been playing in climate change and climate resilience, and the whole question of disaster preparedness and so on. Grenada is recognized as having gone through it and have come through it, so to speak, with flying colors, and setting an example of a country that can recover with the united effort of its people. That came out clear, and I spoke to that at the heads meeting during my intervention at several times in the session. We made also the point that, and I think one of the things that was recognized, we are coming from the vantage point of having had 3 elections where the present political organization in charge of the country had absolute majority on the parliamentary system. That's unheard of in the Commonwealth. It's unheard of to have absolute majority, period. But to do it once, to do it twice, and to do it 3 times was clearly something that was highly commended by the heads who were present at the heads of government. They all couldn't understand why. I got a lot of jokes about how could I help in ensuring that they have these kinds of results in other countries. I say that's up to the people of those countries and not for me to decide. But I think with that atmosphere and the perception that our country is sending a right signal about our effort to unite, because I made the point, as I continue to repeat here at home, the results of the election and the results of our economic performance, which was, of course, highlighted, having gone through a tough period of structural adjustment, cannot be said to be just at the door of the governing political organization. That the people of the country must be given tremendous credit, and the social partnership that we constructed with the trade union, the civil society, the non-governmental organization, by the way, that's what I meant by civil society, and clearly the business community, the church leadership, and of government meeting together, constructed that way forward, accepted responsibility, made sacrifices, took some heat from their own membership, and brought the country to the point that we could all benefit from where we are fiscally and economically. And that point was certainly underscored heavily at the heads of government meeting. In the face of that meeting, of course, you know about the Windrush issue. That almost overshadowed the conference. and we couldn't duck as leaders in the Caribbean, because many of our people were in fact dealt a very unfair hand by the decision of the British government, who appear now to understand that that decision was a very terrible one, inhumane in many sense of the word, and that had to be corrected very quickly. And it took some courageous people in Britain, and of course from the standpoint of the regional diplomatic community, to stand up and say, no, we can't have this. And I think there was a lot of soul searching in Britain about this issue. And in the final press conference in which I was asked to represent the region, together with Theresa May representing as chairperson, and then of course Europe, the president of I think it's Ghana, yes, Ghana, who represented Africa. Samoa represented the Pacific, and the Indian government was supposed to represent the Far East, but had to rush off, so the Prime Minister didn't make it. So, but we had information from his grouping. So question did come up at the press conference. 2 questions were directed we as leaders, the Wonder Windrush issue. And of course, I was asked about whether, because the announcement came by the Queen that she was going to recommend that Prince Charles now be head of the Commonwealth. So at the next meeting of Commonwealth heads in 2 years, she's saying that she's most likely to not be there. She didn't say that she is going to give up the throne. If she did, and he's recommended, then it's automatic. But she's saying that what I read from it, and I think leaders read, was that even if I'm still there as head of the Commonwealth, I'm head of the charge of the throne, that Prince Charles would be head of the Commonwealth. In others, I'm working on her behalf. So that's what I read from it. And I was asked whether Prince Charles' recommendation was a positive one, and I spoke to that the problems that we have with our men. I think we concentrated very heavily in the last decade or two on problems related to women affairs division, women activities, women this, women that. The reality is, harsh reality is, we're facing now that we recognize our men have been marginalized in many respects. The problems that we're facing in most of our societies today are rated on the door of the men's steps door of the men. Clearly, where a lot of our young boys are not achieving as the girls are achieving at this time. You just have to look at the school system that I pointed out. Most of the teachers in schools today are in fact women. Most of the success stories in the classrooms are women. You go to the colleges and you see most of the people attending colleges and finishing up colleges are women. That's not a very good thing for, in fact, most of the families have been headed by women folks. That's not a very good sign for the family unit and for society, because the male has to play an equally important role as the female. And if one is left behind, that's going to spell serious problems for the institution of the family and the country, and those country as a whole. I also just want to make a few quick points. Commendations that we commended the Cuban government and the appointment of its new leadership. The transition of leadership was smooth and, of course, without rancor, which I thought was good for the Cuban people. We would continue to maintain very strong and positive relationship, and we'll continue to advocate on behalf of the Cuban people that we believe the present blockade, an economic blockade against Cuba, is unfair and unwarranted and needs to be dealt with urgently. We commended, of course, Brian Taplin and Anderson Peters and the rest of the delegation who made us feel proud at the Commonwealth, at the Australian Commonwealth athletic meeting. And clearly that they did well. I mean, to have a gold medal, Lyndon Victor. By the way, his father is from Happy Hill. I just need to make that point for what it's worth. So they had, and then Anderson Peters, of course, and the rest of them, while they may not have medaled, they certainly did us proud as a nation. When you compare Little Grenada, less than 110,000 people getting 2 medals in the Commonwealth Games, and you have countries with millions of people didn't get a medal. So clearly, we must give ourselves a lot of credit as a nation. And clearly, from one indication we had that Karen is now back in training and recovering from whatever difficulties that he had, and we wish him the best in this respect. Of course, we had the Grenada Invitational. We consider this another positive activity because I'm getting calls from all over the world, and people are talking about the publicity that is given. I think people must not see this thing just as athletics. It's also tourism, it's also development, because the promotion, the kind of advertisement that we got on television or across the globe and continuing to get from repeat broadcasts with all the 5 or 6 serious ads that were aired by the Ministry of Tourism would have given us a lot of positive. So clearly, I think it was worth it. Some may question that investment, but I honestly believe that we believe that we got value for money spent. Clearly, whatever weaknesses exist, we have to work on improving it, like everything else in life. So I just want to make a couple quick announcements, add to what I just said. There was a rumor going around still. As you know, Grenada's always having rumors. We never without that. That's about the Imani program and that ending the Imani program. I mean, I could understand we were rumoring just before the elections for whatever purposes. There's no need to rumor now because it just won't happen that way. There's a process. We know the program has been ongoing. Over 3,500 of our young people in the last 5 years got opportunity and they got training in different areas. We now have to focus on providing permanent opportunities. About 400 of those workers got permanent jobs. They have to be transitioning into other activities, which we are now building in several areas where there's a hope component, small business component, extended training, retreat, CVQs, permanent employment, of course, further educational development, scholarships, and of course technical education, all the areas. In other words, we're not going to just drop them around there. They are our children and grandchildren. We are going to be there with them. We drop them, we drop ourselves, so to speak. And the government was in the process of doing that. Of course, we have other young people who are there looking for opportunity. We will also be investing in additional trainings this year to ensure that we can bring in more young persons and give them opportunities. There are a number of programs that we embarking on, special training programs in the area, in communities, parishes. We're looking at investing in training and skills, because with the building construction going on, people are still looking for carpenters and for masons, for plumbers, electricians, and so on. So we got to be investing training component in those areas. The hospitality arts. We can't wait for all these hotels that are coming, which are coming in stream, to start to operate, and then they have to import people from outside. So we better take in front before in front takes us, in the sense that we make sure that we can invest some money in training our young people, because I'm convinced that all young people they're very talented. And sometimes we dismiss some people for whatever reasons. Maybe they made mistakes. We all did. But you give them a chance and you see a difference. As Spice Island was telling us, their head chef came from New Law. That's not number one hotel in the Caribbean. And several of the workers there come from New Law. And New Law is supposed to be training the list of the apostles, so to speak. So if they can succeed, it means that everyone can succeed if given an opportunity. And therefore, we should not be afraid to invest in giving people hope and giving people opportunities as they deserve. So we are not getting rid of Imanis. We are going to create more opportunities for more Imani training and other things. The ceremonial opening of Parliament, colleagues, as you know, is Friday. We want people seated by 9 o'clock because we expect it will be a very important session as the start in Parliament of the new governance, 5-year period of governance of this country. May 27th, the CDB meeting. We had a major meeting. As you know, right now I'm present chairman of CDB. I give up the chairmanship in June here. So in May 27th, at the major meeting of CDB held in Grenada. And we hope to open the new parliament, which is everybody's dream, on June 8th, 2018. Colleagues, on this note, as you know, we took the bold step to have this new ministry, which we believe has enormous importance for its value it can bring to the country and the ability to be able to protect our country and to send the right message. In fact, a number of countries followed Grenada's suit and started appointing ministries of climate resilience and natural resources and so on. So Senator Steele has been given the responsibility to head that ministry, and in that ministry you have 2 other ministers. specific areas of responsibility tells you the sense of importance that we have placed on this important ministry. So I would turn over at this point, before we start taking questions, to Senator Simon Steele, who would give you a brief rundown as to how the work that is taking place so far and how he intends to go forward with Senator Gary and Minister Dabrio in that particular ministry.
Okay, thank you very much, Prime Minister, and a very warm good morning to members of the media and the listening and viewing public. I'd like to actually start by commending the Prime Minister for his vision in constructing this new ministry. It gives Grenada an opportunity to take a more strategic position in how we tackle the many challenges that we face with climate change, but also the many opportunities that exist in terms of resource mobilization. There are billions of dollars available internationally that Grenada needs to ensure that it gets its fair share of around the subject of climate resilience, which doesn't just speak to environmental resilience, it's cross-cutting across government, whether it's through the Ministry of Infrastructure and how we strengthen, whether it's our roads, bridges, sea defenses, etc., whether it's in housing, whether it's in public buildings, whether it's in the area of tourism, agriculture, education, the list goes on. So this is a highly progressive move by the government, initiated by the Prime Minister. And again, as he said, the significance of having two other ministers within the ministry, a team of 3 ministers with Minister Garraway, Minister Dabrio, demonstrates the competence, the experience, and the resources that have been brought to ensure that this ministry and the objectives of this ministry are a success. And we've already started to make significant progress. The Prime Minister announced during the election campaign this massive project award through the Green Climate Fund for a water project building climate resilience into our water sector, valued at $125 million, the majority of that being grant funded from the GCF and the government of Germany, with support in kind from the government of Grenada. And this will address the issues of being able to capture and store water up in the north of the country, where there is increased rainfall, and distributing that to the south. And every parish, every community throughout the country will benefit from this. And then we've just received an approval of another very progressive project with the Green Climate Fund that will see the town of St. George being the first climate resilient city within the Caribbean. And again, this project is cross-cutting. It looks at how do we protect the carénage from rising sea levels. It looks at the corridor from the town to the airport, that southern corridor, making that climate resilient. Most of that that arterial road is at sea level, highly vulnerable. And then the airport itself, Maurice Bishop International Airport, is one of the most climate vulnerable airports within the region. So how do we build resilience into the airport? In addition, St. George's University, 20% of our GDP, a project to make that more climate resilient, and a major sewage project for the university, for the whole of the South, St. George's, sewage treatment, which we know is a major developmental challenge that we've faced from the dawn of time. Within that, we've managed to expand the scope to include Grenville. We know Grenville's vulnerability to sea level rise and the challenges communities have up and down that coastal area. That too will be included within this project. The final parts, congestion, how we can reduce congestion. We know that that is a major problem for us, and as the economy continues to grow, as Grenada continues to develop, the need for us to find practical local solutions to relieving the congestion that we're already finding in the south. So work will be done on that. And then a major education component. Each of these projects, it's 600,000 US dollars. That is to prepare funding proposals that will attract funding, firm proposals for additional investment. So the actual value of this from the development of these proposals will be in the range of hundreds of millions of dollars. And what is underpinning this, in addition to building national resilience, is also major job creation opportunities for our people. Significant infrastructural work will take place within this. So we see this as an important starting point. It's just the start with the Green Climate Fund, but we see this as the beginning of something far more significant that will have tremendous impact. The final thing I would like to comment on: last week, we had the Small States Forum, the World Bank Small States Forum meeting, a forum that Prime Minister chairs, but because of his commitments in London, I was asked to chair that meeting with the support of Ambassador Friday, Governor Timothy Antwine, and our advisor to the IMF, Mike Sylvester. So strong Grenadian representation. Grenada was presented and represented very well. The feedback that we have received, certainly in terms of the Prime Minister's leadership and stewardship of this grouping of 50 small states, not only in the Caribbean, but the Pacific, the Indian and African Ocean, was applauded. And also Grenada's performance, both in the area of climate resilience and the ambition that we have, but also in terms of our economic and fiscal performance. And Grenada was seen in all of the meetings that we attended. Grenada was seen as the flagship engagement for the World Bank and the IMF. And we've seen the positive results of our performance through the increase, 300% increase in our IDA support. So from 20 million US dollars to 65 million dollars, one of the highest increases per US, that's US dollars, and one of the highest increases for those qualifying countries for IDA support. And as I said, a clear reflection of Grenada's performance. And the message that came from the bank, from the IMF, is that there will be additional opportunities once we continue along this path. And the final thing to note, there was a report that was issued by the World Bank's chief economist, which highlighted out of 32 states within the Latin America and Caribbean region, Grenada was the only one out of 32, that had a fiscal surplus. They presented this graph, which had Grenada standing out. So a lot of praise is being given for us. And again, linking that with additional opportunities that we see coming our way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Steele. And of course, thank you, Prime Minister. We now welcome your questions. But please be mindful, there are a number of you here, so we'd like to give everyone a chance to get a question in. So please do not hog the microphone. Thanks.
Good mornings. Hello, hello. Yes, Prime Minister Mitchell, how confident are you of that Prime Minister Theresa May will go ahead and rectify Windrush scandal?
Well, clearly she'd have to speak for herself and the government. But I could tell you, as a politician, if I had to face the avalanche of criticism that I've seen leveled on a particular issue like this, and knowing that it comes from a significant sector of my population, I would know the consequences of not dealing with it. So I have to assume that she is an astute politician and that she will have great difficulty ignoring the consequences of not dealing with this thing up front.
Were you able to meet with the Grenadian? I remember there was a case, the Grenadian
yes, I met the mother of the Bristol family, the young man who is alleged, it's not confirmed, committed suicide because of the significant stress that he was going through, not being refused permission to work and to get services. It's alleged, but they're working on the confirmation of the reasons for his death. The Bristol family, she met with me and indicated that she was from up in Pearls area in St. Andrews, and she identified a number of people that I knew. Um, I had this interview on Channel 4 British television with her, and I really admired her. She was um, not a simple person based on her performance on that program. She was asked some tough questions and she stood her ground. I respected her. Family was going through tremendous stress, having to face the fact that they have lost their loved one under those circumstances. And the man was just in the 50s, pretty young person. So yes, I met her, and of course she intends to come to Grenada, not to distant future. She thanked me, and of course thanked those who organized. We had a good, excellent meeting in London. In fact, I would say it was a bigger meeting than the one in Toronto. And in fact, the foreign minister was accompanied me at that meeting, and I would say both of us were mobbed by the crowd. At one time, I was looking for Peter and I couldn't find him. A crowd had him, and I was myself submerged. It was a clear indication of the mood of Grenadian community and friends of Grenada in the different cities with what's taking place in our country today. I think this has a lot to do with it. I don't see it as a personal triumph of just the government. I think the people of the country must take credit for where we are at this time. When you see a mixture of persons who used to be strongly associated with the Grenada Revolution on the same table with persons who maybe have been identified as being opposed to the revolution, and persons who are in either category, joining hands together and coming together and promoting a meeting for all parties. Akima Paul was there helping with the organization. Jackie Robinson, Mackenzie, she was there, and Mrs. Sandy, who was representing the mission, the High Commission. They all worked closely together and put on what I consider the most excellent meeting I've attended in London in a long time. And she was also there. Miss Bristol was at the meeting, and she didn't speak at the meeting, but certainly I think everyone, it touches everyone. To see the plight of these people. You just picture what you have to face as an individual to go through this.
If I could just add to that, Prime Minister, I think it's significant credit has to be given to all of the Caribbean leaders, including our Prime Minister, for the positive action that was taken. My parents are part of that Windrush generation. I, as first generation British-born West Indian, know the plight and the challenges that West Indian communities face in the UK, and the action taken by the British government, the thoughtless action, but also their response to addressing it. But the response is a direct reflection of the pressure placed by our Caribbean leaders and the West Indian community in Britain.
Good morning. I have a number of questions. I think I'm just going to ask two. Right? My first question has to do with the results of the election. You did mention the role of the people and so forth. Now, in recent weeks, coming out of London again, Channel 4, there was a report that was done with a whistleblower that indicated the involvement of SCL's election in a number of Commonwealth nations. Among the list for Grenada, my question to you is, have your party, the New National Party, which happens to win 15, 16 times now, ever used the services of SCAD Elections or any of its affiliates in the Caribbean?
Certainly have not used anybody from the outside. Um, we the persons who helped us in the campaign with our PR are well known persons. I'm talking about outside of the region now. The local people, like Mark, as you know, was a chief consultant on our public relations campaign, and Faith, who was Vincentian, was also there. We clearly had involved a polling organization in the region, and we were better off for it. We believe in our local Caribbean people as important. We have, in fact, the first time I'm hearing the name, I myself not aware of it, and as you know, I'm a professional statistical person myself, and we don't need to hire people from outside to know what data are correct and what data are incorrect, and so on. So I think you may want to ask the other organization if they did, because I'm totally unaware of any involvement of my political organization. I certainly would not support it. I'm appalled by the level of because you know what is significant. You remember what is being said about an organization. They were clearly involved in fake news. And we saw a lot of fake news coming from the other side and one direction, attacking the NNP. A lot of fake news, even convicted criminals were posing on blocks, attacking the NNP. Imagine a convicted criminal and these people's statements and blocks were being used by opponents of the NNP. So if anyone have any relationship with anybody from the outside who are using fake news as a way to undermine the political process, is certainly not the New National Party.
My other question, this one, recent, on the weekend I learned that an amended bill regarding the Caribbean Court of Justice and justice-related matters was circulated to members of the bar for discussion and comment. When we had the referendum in 2016, there was a committee named. Can you share with us whether or not the committee has already been decided or whether it is in the process? What is government steps in going forward to having?
Yes,
as I said at the opening, we opened the discussion.
Yes, yeah, you're right. We're looking at that issue for a second time. We believe, unfortunately, this issue was mixed with a number of issues, and I think the population felt confused, quite confused, and that's why the participation was very low. So we believe the CCJ is an important issue to take a second look at, and we're involving the same people, the community group, the legal professions, and other parties involved, and hopefully we'll have everyone playing a very united role in going forward. Because if we do not work together, then clearly it's not necessarily going to pass, and I think it would be a tragedy of justice for this country and for the Caribbean. I think it's about time that we stop having faith in everybody else but ourselves. All people, jurists have served regional and international institutions around with distinction, and it would be to me almost an insult to say to ourselves that we cannot be responsible for justice in our country. And the CCJ so far has demonstrated that it has stood out in terms of its decision-making process. And no one can say that the governments who are now the countries that are now part of the CCJ are getting decisions based on those in political office. So in that sense, the people should be very happy that it's very independent judicial process, and I certainly, as a Grenadian, and a Caribbean man, I certainly would want to support it. I would play a much more active role this time than I did the last time. It has to be early. It has to be as early as possible. My own view is, and I indicated, but this is just a view, can't take that as concrete, that it has to be by September, October for the latest. I think if you go past this year, I think you're running into next election type mentality. And that would be unfortunate to get mixed up again in partisan politics. This is not a political issue, as far as I'm concerned. If it was a political issue, I don't want anything to do with it. Who is heading the committee? Well, right now the Attorney General is in charge. He's discussing with committee. We'll announce leadership soon. I know the parties have been. It has been discussed with them, and very soon you'll hear the composition and leadership of that committee.
Good morning. I have two questions. My first one to the Honorable Prime Minister and then to Minister Steve. Dr. Mitchell, can you talk to us a bit more about what the Commonwealth might have agreed on in terms of playing a greater role in helping small, vulnerable countries, because we know the hurricane season is just around the corner?
Well, for one, they're members of the United Nations, and many of them have invested quite sizable sum in the Forum for Small States. And Minister Steele already announced a tremendous amount of billions of dollars are available there. In fact, Justin Trudeau, 2 years ago, announced at the last Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, because that was his first meeting, because the previous government had not invested, and he said Canada is back, and he announced a couple $1 billion of support for small states. I made a point that the Commonwealth can't just be talking as a family, and it doesn't put its hands where its mouth is, so to speak. So I made the point that we need to come out and give support in tangible ways. Australia was there, and New Zealand was there. The New Zealand Prime Minister is a fresh person. It's one of the few persons that the lady coming there with a pregnant belly, and appeared to be a fresh air blowing across the Commonwealth leadership. And she was very, very articulate in promoting New Zealand as in terms of climate change and climate resilience. As you know, New Zealand is helping us with alternative energy here, and I discussed with her and mentioned that with her. She had her partner there with her, because not husband, they call it partner. And I took a nice picture with both of them. So no, it's a refreshing day. I thought it was a very useful session. We made the point, and I did make the point. We have countries blacklisting us in Europe for nothing at all. And some of them are at the table here with us. We can't have that kind of behavior. We say we are family. Families don't treat the children. Children, the family is supposed to be treated with equality, not with high-handed nature by any one person in the family. And of course, the whole issue of de-risking the banking system. If we do not deal with the banking system, we are marginalizing those countries. How are they going to exist? And so on. So I think we are very forceful. The small states were extremely forceful this year.
Thank you, sir. Minister Steele, it's sort of like part A and B. The things that you mentioned about the carnage, what was it, protecting the carnage and those things. Do we have a timeline for that, A? And the making green the St. George's the first climate smart city. What makes Grenada stand out for something like this among all the other countries? B and C, are we fully utilizing the benefits to be derived under the Green Climate Fund, meaning Grenada?
All right, well, firstly, the timeline is just 12 months for the initial proposal preparation. So we are partnering with New York University. They have a center of excellence within the university with regard to resilience and specifically urban development and building climate resilience into that, which is why they were the chosen partner. The why Grenada piece, it's again reflective of Grenada's growing stature in this area. We are seen internationally, not just regionally, but internationally, as a leader in this area. So New York University are used to working on projects much grander than this, but they were particularly interested in Grenada because of our reputation and the opportunity that we present. We're finding international organizations they are approaching us because they see us as a shining light regionally and internationally. So 12 months for the project preparation, and then from that, more detailed work will take place. So I am anticipating this maybe over a 3-year period before we start to see the resources. But that, in terms of the project preparation proposal, is kind of typical for these size of funds, because we'll be talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. Answering your question, is Grenada taking full advantage? Grenada's share within the Green Climate Fund, certainly within the Caribbean, is significant. We are taking full advantage of that, and there is more that is available. But it's not just the Green Climate Fund. There is a major international meeting later on in the year with the Global Environment Facility, which has significant resources. The meeting that we had in Washington, we met with the head of Jeff, and we will be looking to take full advantage there. There are other international organizations, other bilateral relationships, whether it's with the People's Republic of China, government of Germany. We have a strong relationship with the European Union. The opportunities there are vast, and we'll be looking to, ensure we get our fair share.
Question is to Dr. Mitchell. Good morning, Rachel Benjamin. Of all the bills from the 2016 referendum, why is the government reintroducing only the CCJ bill at this time?
Good question, my dear. The question is why. All the bills were important, but I think we recognize that we gave the people too much food at one time. And if you get too much food at one time, something else happened to us individually. And we decided that the CCJ, it's not just about Grenada alone. It's about the Caribbean man and woman. And we felt it defines us as a people more than any other bill on the table. The others were more specifically Grenada. And Grenada is part of a wider family, the Caribbean family. And it makes sense that the wider family must get its act together. And therefore we felt that the CCJ should be the first one that we bring back before the people. Later on, I firmly believe, and I think the opposition would agree with me today, that the other bills were more in their interest than the government's interest. I think they made a fundamental mistake. If they had agreed to the question of the opposition leader being appointed if there's no seats available in the House, in the lower house chosen by the people, we'll not be talking about an opposition leader today, absence of an opposition leader in the parliament, and 3 senators from the opposition. We would not be talking this language now. We would not be hearing any word about the electoral process. Why are you going to talk about the electoral process that you were in charge of, that you lost all seats under the same system, that you could have made the changes that you're complaining about, that you were given a chance to change the management of that system, and you vote no. And today you're complaining. So it's all unfortunate. So these bills I believe in them still. I am not seeing this thing as an NNP thing. If I was seen as an NNP thing, I wouldn't. The question of limiting the terms of a prime minister can't be an NNP thing. In fact, I believe many of these things failed because people perceived that they were trying to cut me out. Unfortunately, that's how people spun it. And I don't see it that way. I think it's about our future. Guys, the stage of my life I reach now, and governance of this country is about, really, it should always have been what is best for Grenada, but more so than ever now, that I'm looking at, what is our legacy? What is our legacy in the media person performing today? What are you going to say you did 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 7 years ago as a media person? Just to come and give the Prime Minister trouble? No, can't be that way. Some significant thing you would have done to put us in the best position to make changes that are necessary for the people of our country. So I'm thinking in that light, my dear.
And has two parts. So are there any intention to reintroduce any of the other bills from the referendum?
That will take time. It is certainly something, a work in progress.
Okay.
It may not be in my time, but if I'm alive, I'm certainly going to be part of the process.
Okay. My another question is related to the unemployment figures. We understand figures were presented to cabinet. Can you give some clarity and tell us where are we now in terms of that?
I didn't hear the preamble to the question, so it's about economy or something?
Unemployment.
Oh, yes. Yes, it was. I want to be very accurate. I think it's 24%. 24.2? Yeah, 24. 24%. Yeah. Yes, it went down.
Okay, then. Thank you, Pastor Michael.
Okay, my question is indicating to Minister Steele.
What?
Minister Steele.
Where you coming from?
The Grenadian Voice newspaper, Ariane Bartholomew. You've indicated that Grenada, St. George's will be the first climate smart city in the Caribbean. Can you elaborate more on the physical development that will take place on this initiative?
Okay, well, I covered some of that. I mean, there are nine areas, and they include the carénage, protecting the carénage from rising sea levels, the airport, highly vulnerable, the southern corridor between the airport and town, making sure that that is climate resilient. It's all sorts of things. So it is drainage. So there will be sea defenses. There will be green technologies. We'll be looking at the Grand Anse area, for example, looking at the reef outside there, how that could be protected, the coastline. It's far-reaching. So at the moment, we have the general concepts. Those concepts then need to be developed into concrete plans of action, which will have a price tag attached to it, which we will then seek international support through grant and concessional funding to do. But if we achieve this, it will really put Grenada on the map in terms of climate resilience and some very progressive policies and action, which would lead the world.
My name is the Prime Minister, Karima Lewis, the New Today newspaper. I just want a little bit of clarity on the oil and gas issue. I'm hearing from one circle that we have found only gas, and I'm hearing that another circle that we have found oil. So I'm just trying to figure out, did we find oil or not?
It announced that we had a combination of gas and oil that were found. And what we can say, the amount of the gas were in tremendous commercial quantity, trillions and trillions. So we believe, as you know, we're talking green climate, we're talking environmental control, we're talking gas is seen as the better source of energy in the future. And therefore, it's not a bad thing that it's verified that the gas is the one that's in tremendous quantity. Since Trinidad has infrastructure for the gas, and Trinidad needs, based on its commitment locally and internationally, to supply gas, and since it's a neighbor who we are close to, it makes sense. It's just a matter of getting the available what do you call it? What's it again? The pipes, available pipes to connect to, and that is usually not a tremendously costly exercise. The drilling is even far more costly than that. They are now going to be putting infrastructure in place, pumping that gas into Trinidad, and of course we will be getting all significant resources from that. So Trinidad will be doing a major, with GPG, major part of the investment, and of course we'll be working out the arrangement, government to government and the company to the Trinidad Gas Company. That has been done already. Minister Bowen will in fact be working with his counterpart. I met the Minister of Energy recently, and they're all Trinidad is gung-ho about the success in Grenada. They're very happy for us because they realize they would also benefit significantly from that find. So yes, we have some oil, my dear. The oil, to extract the oil, you have to build platform. And that is, you're talking a lot of money. So that will take a few years. It's not going to happen overnight. The gas is going to come in a much shorter period.
One more question.
And by the way, we'll be drilling other. That's only one well.
Yeah.
There'll be other wells to be drilled, and they're going to be starting to invest in that. And they expect, based on the seismic study, that it could be even more lucrative than the one that we just found.
Okay, Mr. Prime Minister, tell me, is it true that the government received a payment of $5 million from the Global Petroleum Group as advance payment should Grenada find oil and gas?
No, it's not true. Don't forget, there may have been some monetary advance payment, but for the what you call it, fees, licenses. So they will be paying advance for licenses and other services that they will be getting from government. So when resources start coming through, then of course that will be, of course, extracted out, whatever advance results came from the payments that were given. But I couldn't tell you it's 5 million or 2 million or 1 million. I don't believe it's as much as 5, but I'm not prepared to say that it's absolutely not so. But it would have been in part of an accounting process of the government accounting system.
It's true to say that the government has sold out to GPG.
Of course, we've consistently said this. No government would be worth its salt to sell out to anybody. I just want to make it clear again, because this has been a big political issue over the years, and some people just run them out, unfortunately, and almost to the detriment of the country. Not Keith Mitchell, because the more they run them out, the more Keith Mitchell get votes. So they're not doing damage to Keith Mitchell, they're damaging the country, and that's what all of us must be thinking about. And we've said that we, based on our scientific understanding, that we got to realize there must be some oil and gas in our waters, and therefore we decided to research when we came back into government, and we decided that since 95 we are working. We looked at what the PRG did, what Gary did, what previous governments did, and we said, look, some of the technology then was archaic. Therefore we started asking people that Trinidad has oil there, Venezuela has oil there. It seems to me if you're in the middle there, you should have something. That's logical. So we put out ads asking people to those who are interested in helping Grenada to extract or to search, to find out. And 2 companies came forward. GPG was one of them, and the one company was a larger institution. And when they realized the cost, they said, well, we're not prepared to make that kind of investment. The only one who's prepared to make that kind of investment was GPG. So we are left with GPG. If we had not gone with GPG, then we wouldn't be talking gas and oil. So we didn't decide to work with GPG. And that's why it's unfortunate, because the thing got all mixed up in the partisan political activities in the country. And we suffered heavily in 2008 because of what was perceived, that Minister Bowen got a bribe, and I might have been in bribe, and all sorts of nonsense, which went down the drain, of course, post-elections. But unfortunately, that's why I don't go back in this. We're in a positive mood now, and I think we want to stay that way. And I'm interested in what is best for Grenada. I might not be in Prime Minister of the country when most of these resources are coming through, but I'm sure my country would benefit, and that's what I'm interested in.
One last question. Would Glenys Roberts be representing any particular organization in the Senate?
No, Glenys Roberts was someone would be coming in the Senate based on what my knowledge is. The Governor General is doing that. She's coming in as an independent senator, because she's chosen by the Governor General. The last Governor General chose to just partisan political appointments. And she has decided, because I don't think she has decided that Glenys is coming from some political party. I think there's more. I know she interviewed other people who are not members of any political party at all, and in the process of coming up with final recommendations.
Okay. Any other questions? One quick one, two quick ones, one.
Yes. Okay. Will Grenada make further changes to the Citizen by Investment program in light of the Canadian immigration scanning of people arriving from the Caribbean countries with the citizenship program?
Citizenship program is a work in progress. Clearly, it has its tremendous benefits, but there are controversies related to it. We're mindful of this, and we're prepared to do whatever is necessary to ensure that the country's name is protected. So as we move forward in getting the benefits, we also are mindful of any negative that will flow, and we'll take decisions to do so.
Efforts to get Canada to withdraw the visa from Grenada.
But you remember Canada made its position very clear that it was not CBI program responsible. And in fact, they made it very clear there were lots of persons coming from Grenada and certain other countries and claiming asylum. And because of they were landing there and claiming that their political victimization. In fact, in one case, one said that they couldn't come back to Grenada because the Prime Minister had something against them. I didn't even know the person. So there were a lot of cases, and Grenada was one of the countries there seemed to be a lot of abuses in the visa-free. So they imposed it on us. And remember that Jean Augustine was a Grenadian born, and she brought a case to the Canadian Parliament and to the Prime Minister then. And similarly, we have another Grenadian in the Parliament again making the case. So it's a work in progress. But my friend, I would not sit there and pretend to you that I believe that there's a high possibility that you see an easing of this thing. If anything, you will see a hardening of positions. The visa thing is becoming, even America is putting pressure on Canada right now. And this visa thing is becoming, you listen to Trump and you know what's taking place. The people are trying to blame everything on people coming into their countries now. And some parties are forming on the basis of some right-wing philosophies. So I'm not sure the present atmosphere, any liberal politician is going to be brave enough to say I'm becoming more liberal on immigration at this point in time. I would love them to be, but I think that's a hopeful thing. Okay.
The poultry farmers. What is the reception from poultry farmers and importers to new poultry policy? Will local producers be able to meet the demand?
Yes, that's why in coming up with a quota, we're in discussions with them. In coming up with the quotas, we did say that we have to monitor the ability to supply, because you don't want to leave the people without the quantity of meat that they need. So that is something we're working very closely with the Poultry Association on this matter. We believe it's an extremely important initiative. We believe that we can create a lot of jobs. I believe that the meats that produce here locally is far more healthy for us than the ones we get from abroad. I mean, they pump them up with all sorts of hormones and so on. And I'm not sure. I am one. I buy the local meat, chicken. I'm refusing to eat as best as possible. I may get it something I don't even know, but as best as possible, I try to get local meat.
Okay, my final question to you. In recent weeks and probably months, we have seen more and more police officers getting entangled with the law. As Minister for National Security, how concerned are you that police officers are now getting entangled in the law? How concerned are you? And my second question would be on pests. Yesterday we received a release from the Ministry of Agriculture about someone trying to bring in Africanized killer bee. What are your message to persons who are trying to bring in pests to Grenada, whether knowingly or unknowingly?
What's the first one again?
The first one knowingly about the officers entangling with the law.
Yes. Yes.
Because for different crimes, from sexual-related crime, we had officers in accident.
Yeah.
Officers in drugs.
I get it now. Now, I'm very concerned. And I think each of us should be concerned, because these officers come from our own society. The persons affected are our own children and grandchildren. So each of us must be very concerned. And they are supposed to be upholding the laws of the land. And if they are the ones breaking it, it's quite troubling. I do one proviso, though, make the point. It has been identified that this country is, in terms of its record, in terms of crime and criminal activities, probably is leading at the head of the line in the region as a whole. But we have problems, and that is one area. Sexual criminal activities are prevalent in almost every society in the region, and in Grenada it's troubling that one would find some pleasure in interfering with an underage child. It's quite frightening. You know, it's something that all of us should find very difficult. I know the commissioner is very concerned. We discussed that yesterday, and I know he's one man that's going to tolerate anyone in his ranks, and I expect the police and the judicial system will be moving very, very aggressively to deal with those who commit those offenses, because you're talking about the destruction of our society. You know, and our children must be protected. All of us, we have a fundamental responsibility to recognize that that we all have to protect the generations that we say we have brought here, and we can't be participating in destroying the same generation that we bring. Okay, and the past, very concerned. I heard the story yesterday. I didn't know a lot about it. Certainly, I heard it, I was listening to Hard Talk, and I heard this being spoken of. But I didn't have any facts related to it. But certainly, no animals should be allowed, whether it's bees or whatever, into the country without the quarantine checks. And every country does protect its borders. Right now, we're one of the few countries that can export certain fruits and vegetables to the United States and Europe. Our fish industry goes all over the world. If we allow things, people just bring in stuff here without checks and without the proper quarantine measures, we could be destroying an entire economic area of activity. So clearly, I'm very concerned. Linda, I'll be fine out checking on certainly the ministers here, the environment, and certainly with agriculture, he certainly couldn't be following up and find out more about this. But I didn't know about it until I heard it yesterday. Okay?
Thank you. On that note, have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
There's so much going on with the NNP, and we're just getting started. From candidate launches to contests, events, and breaking news, be in the know. Get notified first about big events and announcements. Plus, we're here to listen. We want to hear from you. Leave us a comment, tell us what's working and what's not. Like what we're doing? Let us know. The NNP is working for you. Interact with us on Facebook. Come on, Grenada, get connected. Like us on Facebook/NNP Grenada and keep moving.
Well, just break a branch. Or you meet up a tree. It don't matter. It's a tree mass. It's a different kind of mass. We play walk tree. To them, mass. Walk to them. Break your tree. We are a blessed people down here in the West Indies. Like that. You don't have no snow, spring, winter, weather like this. Good weather. You don't have to spend a lot to put the old man's ease. Easy like 1, 2, and then a couple of trees. Get a branch. Old man's in the Caribbean, you don't have to pay no fees. Just get a cutlass and then go cut a couple branches. Free man.
Good morning to you, Grenada, Carriacou, Pretty Martinique once again. Yeah, hard talk time, right? Devon, good morning.
Good morning, Sheldon.
Yeah, we have a guest in studio. We're telling the guests good morning. Early one time. Yes. Good morning to you, Kathy.
Hello, good morning.
Mr. Mannion, fixing microphone for the lady. What kind of thing is that? You have microphone aiming so you acting like certain people just now.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. So we're saying a special good morning to you, Miss Kathy Telesford.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
She's in studio with us this morning. But before we get into the discussion with Kathy, we've just heard the press conference, post-cabinet press briefing with Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell and Senator the Honorable Simon Steele, Minister in the Ministry of Climate Change, the Environment, Forestry and Fisheries, Information, and NADMA. I think NADMA is in that ministry too, because Senator Gary has responsibility for NADMA and Information in that ministry. It's a long ministry. I can't remember everything. If I miss out anything to that department, we're extremely sorry.
Yeah, with three ministers.
Yeah, so Prime Minister making certain announcements there.
Oh, yes.
So we have the completed list of senators now. So we know what the upper house is going to be composed of this time around. And on the government side, we have
Judd Cadet.
I ain't reached down there yet, but so this man so you have to be a soldier in shooting, but you're an expert at jumping gun.
I the sprinter. I like to jump the gun.
I started up. Senator Simon Steele, Senator Norman Cox, Senator Winston Garraway, Senator Judd Cadet, Senator Katisha Williams, and Senator Kim George. Also Senator Chester Humphrey. All right, so that's the government appointees to the Senate for the 10th Parliament of Grenada. Also on the opposition benches, Her Excellency the Governor General, Dame Cecile Lagrenade, not Cecile, you had to say it proper. She has this one, she ready, you know, so you had to say it proper. Cecile, yeah, you'll get rough up on that one. Cecile. Right, Dame Cecile Lagrenade. She has appointed to the opposition benches Senators Ron Redhead, Karine James, and Glenys Roberts. Yeah, so some people say they don't know who Karine is. Let me tell them who Karine is. I don't know if I could find it.
Yeah, we're going to tell them who Karine is.
Just now, I go tell her who Karine is just now. Right. Also, on the other three, hold on with the phone call now, are busy, so? Hold on now. Yeah. On the other side, we have as well Senator Andre Lewis returning, representing the labor unions. We have Senator Chris Diali, again representing the business community, and they're being joined by the new face in the Senate. That's Dr. Dunstan Campbell, who will be representing the farmers and fishermen. All right, so we have a little change up in it. Okay, watch. Let me see who this person calling for. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
You see, no, I'll give you the opportunity now, and you're going. Yeah, I wanted to see where you're calling for. Yeah, hold on now, I'm busy, sir. Yeah, nice. So we have the new appointees to the Senate. The first sitting, the opening, official opening of the 10th Parliament, not the Parliament building. The official opening of the 10th Parliament will be taking place this Friday. You're asked to be seated. Yeah, shine up the shoes, iron the clothes, get a little starch and thing, visit the hairdresser. Nice. And you're in the Parliament by 9 o'clock in your seats this Friday for the start of the 10th Parliament session, and also the official opening of the new Parliament building. So this one is the opening of the new Parliament. So this one is at the Grenada Trade Center. The official opening of the new Parliament building, that's going to be on Friday, the 8th of June. And of course, it's going to be at the new Parliament building. I tell you how it's going to be. It's the opening of the new Parliament, going to be at the new Parliament building, isn't it? Right. So that one is going to be there. Yeah. So you say, what are you saying again? Judd. Go ahead, sing your song.
No, just I just kind of excited about the young blood that is being introduced into the Senate. You know, it's a compliment, you know, by to the government and the other parties and so forth, ensuring that we have young persons who can, you know, continue the whole political, you know, fray as we move on. Judd is a typical example. Very young, in his early 20s, and so he is also the youth president of the National Party, and so that goes well for young people's involvement in politics.
Ron Redhead, one of the NDC suggestions, He is still is the deputy PRO of the NDC. Wonder how come they didn't send the U-term president? When NDC make some kind of weird decisions there. Karine, I think all of us may know Karine or not know we know Karine. Let me see if I can remember.
Call the thing, doc. Call the dead.
Yeah, that's she.
Repeat it after
that's
me.
She did.
Call the dead.
That's Karine. That's Karine. Yeah. That's Karine. Not doubt. Yeah, there's Karine there. Let me make sure that's Karine. Right. Yeah. Let me see if we could remember Karine now. Yeah. Right.
Call the dead. Repeat it after me. Call the dead.
Yeah. So that's Karine. Nice. Okay.
So she will be call the Senate now.
Oh God, nah, I know. I think she will be here. She said.
Oh yes, it's a good opportunity for her as a young person and so to develop herself and so
I think, again, I cannot fault the Prime Minister with a single appointment that he has made. We have a young lady in studio with us. We have additional women again. So you have two young women, two accomplished young women, two young lawyers who are now in the Senate. And then on the opposite side, you have two women again. You have experience in Sister Glenys Roberts. Senator. Senator Glenys Roberts. And then you have Senator Karine James. So you have a young woman and you have an elder on that side. So you have a lot of experience. Woman power.
As a man, I'm beginning to
get worried. Yeah, boy, I'm worried on that thing there.
You look at St. Andrews, you have 4, and you look at, I mean, as a man, I have to be concerned, but concerned for the right things, eh?
Yeah, I mean, right now, you understand what's going on in the place, and then you have to be very careful because. I mean, the woman taking over. Next thing too, we get put out the studio and only Cathy saying that.
You understand?
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, we go. Next thing. We play a song for the woman.
Yeah.
Now play a piece of a song for a woman.
Hell no.
As a man, boy, what do you get, Lexi? I don't admit it, boy.
I ain't admitting defeat just like that.
Woman is boss, boy.
Dr.
Mitchell, if I say I don't love those appointments, I lie.
I ain't following you on that one about woman is boss.
Woman is boss.
I ain't following you there.
Let's see Devon jealous.
You alone go take your blows when you leave the studio.
Devon jealous. Who go beat me? No man can lash me because all women in Grenada defending me.
And
not that man.
It's a powerful statement made not just now, but even before the election by the Prime Minister. And so in terms of the inclusion of more women into the political fray.
It's very important. Yeah, we've seen women, I think Grenada right now would be ranked as probably either number 1 or I doubt we're number 2 when it comes to the involvement of women in the governance of the country. So at the parliament level, also even at the governance level, when you look, it's sort of balanced out now. I think 1 or 2 men came in as PSs and senior administrative officers in ministries. It has been mainly women as well. So it is wonderful. So woman is boss?
No.
Brenda, when you reach home, you go fix that. I know I've been money. Yeah, Brenda, go fix that when you reach home. Yeah, before we go any further, we need to say a very special happy birthday to a good friend of ours. He does pop into the studio every now and again. Tafawa Pierre.
Ooh.
Yeah. Good morning to you, sir.
Superintendent Pierre.
We hope that you have a wonderful and extremely wonderful day today. Right? And get some rest and all kind of things. But the man always working, boy.
Yeah. And you know what? You know what, boss? We go take a little drink later. You could warm up the thing you have in the freezer.
You only saying that.
You know what I'm saying? Warm up the thing in the freezer for us. We go show up.
That man at Tanya long since last year. Last year, April. You go eat that one on your own. Not me. All right. So, folks, yes, we have in studio with us Miss Cathy Telesford. And she said, you represent, what's the name of the company?
Grenada Agro Management.
Grenada Agro Management. Yes. And just a short while ago in the post-cabinet press briefing, we were hearing about the climate change and the climate resilience and so on. And we've also been hearing a bit about employment. And that's why it's so wonderful. just take a few minutes and explain to the listeners out there the project that your company has been working on, the company that you're involved in has been working on.
Sure. Well, Grenada Organ Management started about 4 years ago. We recently basically started as only agricultural farm, growing crops, animals, fish. Since then, we've opened up the restaurant and bar. A main reason is for the agricultural farm was to raise organic products, making the community aware. We're moving towards a green company. That's what we'd like to do. Basically filtering water. All of the products that we are growing on the farm will be used in the restaurant for the food. And so on the other end of it, we've also employed a lot of the local community as workers there on the farm.
Mm-hmm. About how many people roughly do you all have engaged right now working there?
About 12 to 15.
Okay, so you all have made your contribution to the reduction in the unemployment rate to 24.2. Yes, yeah, because we heard Prime Minister give the rate is now 24.2%. And so you all make your yes. contribution.
And as the farm continues to grow, we'll be employing more people of the community, which then kind of creates help to cultivate a sense of community. So we're very excited about that moving forward.
Wonderful. Where exactly is the project located?
It's in St. Andrews. I guess part of the Seven Sisters Fall is what you would call it, or not part of, but within that area.
Okay, that's the project. The last time they were saying, "Oh, government, come and sell out Granitang and all sorts of things." But it's a project that has been developed over a period of time there.
Yes, over 4 years.
Private developers.
Yes, definitely. So we're not basically we're in partnership with the Bain and Son Limited.
Yeah.
Those are our partners.
Okay, I also know my good partner, Buka.
And Buka, yes.
Buka.
Yes.
Yeah,
he had a
Buka.
major part in this also.
Yeah, he's involved in it as well. So tell us, how much has been spent on this project thus far? Because we keep hearing people saying certain segments of the society saying nothing taking place in Grenada. Nothing taking place in Grenada. But here it is that you have this project. What's the size of it? The size of it?
Well, the land is about 15 acres, and my boss, Oleg Simbler, he has invested over $1 million in the project, out of his pocket.
So over 1 million
Yes.
into that project
Yes.
already.
Yes.
Give us a little rundown of some of the different aspects of the facility there, because there are many persons who are listening now.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that at least 98% of the listeners now may not even know that facility exists.
Right.
So it's in the area of the Seven Sisters Fall, in the Granitang area up there in the Seven Sisters Fall.
Yes.
Right. On private property.
On private
property in that particular area. Give us a rundown of the exact project. I know you mentioned using back some of the same stuff that's grown there and that sort of thing, but give us a little rundown of the project. So what exists there now is you got a restaurant and bar.
Yes, we have 2 greenhouse. We are now in the process of developing sort of like a fish project where the community can come in, actually fish, buy their own, catch their own fish, buy the product and then sell it, and of course take it home and cook it, eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Or if you want to have a fish fry right there.
Or fish fry, yeah. Yes.
So the different ecotourism aspects to it as well.
Yes.
Oh boy, I'm seeing someone calling. I don't know if they want to ask a question in relation to this one. So let's see what. Good morning. Hello. Good morning. Hello. Yeah, hello.
Good morning.
Okay, maybe that person is listening to. Folks, remember when you're calling. If you're listening to the radio, you need to take the volume down or you won't be able to have that conversation with us. We have another call online. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Mr. Scott, how are you?
Quite fine.
I'm calling to something. Yesterday I saw something and it was very disturbing. This young lady works at the General Hospital. I think she's a supervisor now. She wasn't feeling well yesterday with this cold and thing going around, so she went to casualty. Apparently when she blew her nose, cold coming out in her nose. So she went to casualty. The doctor will turn and tell her to go up to the staff doctor. Now the staff doctor they comes in at 12 o'clock. From the time she went in, it was after 10 when she went to her. she have to wait with that cough on her job until that staff doctor came in for 12. That young lady, I watched that young lady cough yesterday, like, you know, she could have died. She went to the staff doctor now. Instead of the staff doctor give her some medication or whatever, she just tell her, go home, write up a whatever, go home, drink some water, and you. The point I'm getting at, Sheldon, you are work and you work there, even though casualties are emergency, the person walk there, you can't see about the person. You have to send out the person and tell her to go elsewhere, and you know that the staff doctor is coming in for a certain time. It ain't nice at all. They have to do better with the health sector. They have to do better.
Okay, my dear.
Okay.
All right, great. Yes, I'll raise that one with the minister. He's presently in Cuba, attending the conference in Cuba, and he'll be in next week. So you have the ecotourism thing going. So you all have crops that you're actually growing there.
Definitely.
And is the cuisine that you're offering mainly of Grenadian fare, like Grenadian food or that sort of thing, or is it a wide range of food?
Well, we'd like for it to be a wide range of food, but mainly we want to stick to the culture, the food from here. You know, our local foods. You know, your rice and peas, your stewed chicken. We have fine cuisine. I mean, you know, it's a variety of things. We have burgers, we have fish burgers, chicken burgers, fries. So we want to open it up to the public because we will be having a lot of tourists within that section. Like I said, the Seven Sisters Falls is there. So you have traffic going back and forth on a regular basis. So we want to be able to offer the community a wide variety of foods, you know, to buy.
So Mother's Day, if someone decides to take their mom or take their spouse, their wife or whatever there, is it up to that? Is it ready for that right now?
Oh yes, definitely. We have basically we're actually starting certain things on different nights. We have karaoke night. We might have couples night. We have what we call Rendezvous Fridays in the falls. So we are definitely starting those things. We also are in the process of marketing towards the public for events such as weddings, anniversaries.
You all have a website, a Facebook page or so on up with the project?
We're actually starting that soon. Yeah, so it'll be up and running very soon within the next couple of weeks.
Make sure and send us the link on Hive Talk so you can make sure and put it out and so on.
Yes, there'll be some flyers and stuff going around too. We've had some local printers and stuff like that making those things for us so we can market.
Okay, so most of what has been taking place is giving back to the Grenadian economy. So it's not a case where okay, you're based outside of Grenada, so you're bringing all the stuff in. You're getting local people to be involved and to do and to create and that sort of thing.
Definitely.
So even the printing is being done locally and getting persons locally to print and so on. Before we go any further, though, people may be hearing the accent, so those on radio may not know you're Grenadian, isn't it?
Yes, I was actually born here. I was born here, but I left to go to New York when I was about 4. But I am from my mom's family is from St. John's, Concord, and my dad is from Grand Mall.
Yeah,
so, and we're at Telesford, but I think I'm saying it wrong. So.
No, it's Telesford, but I mean when we're speaking local, we say Telesford.
Telesford.
But it's Telesford.
Yes.
Yeah, and the other family surname?
Gangadine.
Gangadine.
Yes.
Right. So Gangadine and Telesford.
Yes.
Right. Nice.
Western Derby.
Yeah, so it's Grenadians are involved in this thing.
Yes.
All I feel is Grenadians are doing this thing. Nice. And we've over $1 million already put into this project here. We're already beginning to see it's 12 people or so involved.
12 to 15 people, already involved,
They're involved in different aspects, so they're doing the farming and that sort of thing.
They're doing the farming. They're actually they've helped build the greenhouse. I mean, I wish I had some pictures of me so I can show you how great it looks up there. You'll have to visit with us one day. So they're also we have some people that are in the kitchen who are cooking the food, people at the bar. So yes, they're doing all the cultivating of the land, everything like that.
And that's people from like the Birch Grove community and other areas close by that are getting that opportunity. And that's a wonderful one because it's not an area that you have many like large projects taking place. So for something like this to be taking place, they are offering the opportunity for employment, especially in the hospitality tourism area to people from the Birch Grove community. I think is a model that can be used in many other communities around the island.
Yes. And my company is willing, my boss, he is willing to train a lot of the employees. I know that they have some hospitality courses here. And so we want our employees to be properly trained.
I'll make the note to tell him my program one time, eh? Right. Right.
Yes. So he is willing to do that, send them for classes, certificates, etc.
Okay, because what we may be able to do is speak to the the folks down at the Imani program, and for people who are interested in hospitality arts in that area to be able to go to that facility and do their CVQ training and that kind of thing.
Yes, definitely.
What are some of the plans for expansion?
Well, right now we are, like I said, we're trying to get our restaurant and bar up and running for the community to be aware that it's there. But as we expand, I think it'll be more maybe adding another greenhouse. Like I said, the fishery's coming. So we are looking to do many different things in that avenue. My boss did want me to mention that within the community itself, not just where we are, we're trying to put in different computer centers to also help the public in regards to, some people may not have computers, may not have the ability to use a computer, so we'll have people there who can train them to use the computer, looking for jobs, etc.
Also, like a computer center, people can go, they can use it.
Yes, within the different parishes, yes.
Okay.
And that'll be, in connection to this business that we have here.
That's wonderful.
Wow, that's excellent.
That's wonderful. And you're saying Andrew, man, again, too,
That's why I'm just sitting here saying nothing.
Well, I mean, I think a big part of why he wanted to hire the local community also is because, we go till late some of the times. We'll have 2 shifts. The restaurant will be open till about 12. And he wants to make sure that the employees have a easier way of getting home and also getting there. So, he's looking to...
Well, we're glad to hear that because on prior programs we had discussion of lots of people who are from the St. Andrew and St. Patrick area, and so we even had one chap that called in and he said he was from Birch Grove that work in the tourism sector but have to come all the way to the south of the island. And then when they're working in the south of the island and you're finished at 11, 12 in the night, especially if rain is falling, you've got difficulty in getting home because the various facilities down there do not offer transport to drop workers past St. George. St. George is the see a partner put the red line, that's the red line, St. George. They don't go across that. They drop you in St. George. Then you have to make your way up.
Right.
And if it would be wonderful for people who are in that field, especially with a lot of experience and so, who are in the Birch Grove area, the St. Andrew area in general, it would be a lot easier for them. So we're glad that there's that type of project there. Also, when you look at St. Andrew, you realize that there is the issue of, when you're talking tourism, the main thing in St. Andrew is that people go to Granitang Lake. They go to Granitang, they take out some banana to feed that to monkey, and they go and they watch the lake, they snap some photos, they say I'm in the Grenadian rainforest, they snap 2 photos, they put it up on Instagram, and then they're out from St. Andrew. When there's so much more that St. Andrew can offer, including this facility that you all have set up.
Yes, because we would like to have a tour off our facility where the tourists come in and they can just visit the different the greenhouse that we've built, the fishery, the pigs that we're raising, the ducks that we're raising. We want people to see that.
Let me roll back here. You all growing pigs and ducks and things?
Yes, we are. Yes.
When you said, I thought it was just mainly like some cabbage and some lettuce and some tomato and the green day.
That's why I said you must come and visit.
You need to go and see it.
Yes, yes, you
definitely. You're talking like you see it?
Well, I saw part of it. I mean, but not in recent last couple of months. But
very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, it's
also you all actually, and that would be good because if you have pigs and so then you're into the organic farming, you use back the waste from that.
And that is part of our process. Yes, that's what we're trying to go. We're on go green.
Exactly. And one of the things too I admire about the project in that particular area, it will help create more activities around the Seven Sisters.
Yes.
Right? That project there where they are now including the restaurant and so would be like a spring, like those who want to go to the Seven Sisters, but after that long journey down there, come back up, they can relax,
of course,
have a drink,
listen to some nice music,
and
yes,
everything
definitely.
like that. So in a sense, it's a project in my view that not just for the visitors, but for Grenadians on a whole.
Yes.
Who can go there and visit, sit down, relax, and enjoy with the family. So yeah.
But that's going to be a wonderful opportunity for a lot of persons, and I myself now have the impetus to go to the Seven Sister Falls, which I have not visited in 18 years.
Wow.
The last time I'd have been
That's
at
a
Seven
pretty long
Sisters
time.
Falls would have been around the year 2000, so about 18 years.
Okay.
I've not been down to the falls itself.
Shame on you, man.
But I ain't even go to one sister fall, much less seven. So I ain't go to none of them. So it'll be a great opportunity for a lot of people. And it's a new venue. It's a new place that people can go to. Birthdays, you say you're going to be catering to birthdays, weddings.
Yes, and it's open. It's open.
Good amount of parking and so nice parking and so that we can park and take.
We're actually in the process of paving that area for the parking. Yes.
Oh, paving and things for parking.
We have to accommomate the public, so yes.
There's a lot of area there that you can expand parking.
Yes.
No wonder man can't get cement. every time you look, something else going on.
Something is going on.
Yeah, it's good for our tourism product. When we look at Carriacou, for instance, over the past couple of days, and folks, if you check my Facebook page personally, my personal Facebook page, you'd see it. The Casada Bay out there in Carriacou. And imagine in the construction phase, this one is looking so beautiful because you have that nice blue skies around it. Well, the skies ain't going to always be blue, but the water is as well. That aquamarine mix. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful project that's being built in Carriacou.
It's awesome.
You have the Pitti Calavini project that is taking place and so on. And it's not as though any particular project is competing with the other, but each is lending to each other. So someone goes...
And that's important.
You come to Grenada, you're staying at the Pitti Calavini. And you're going to lunch at, what's the proper name of your facility?
Argo Management, yes. Grenada Argo Management.
Argo Management.
Yes.
So you go to Granatang and you go down to Argo Management.
But the name of the restaurant and the bar is called Poppy's Callaloo Restaurant and Bar.
Poppy's?
Yes, Poppy's Callaloo Restaurant and Bar.
But it's not only Callaloo that they offer.
No.
Restaurant and bar.
Yes.
Right. So definitely I'll be visiting there. Definitely I will be visiting there. So you have the way that all of these are interlinked.
Yes.
Any plans to expand from the production that's taking place, the organic production with the fruits and vegetables, and now I've learned animals. I ask all the time, where we getting duck? I didn't realize all had duck update.
We do. You have to come see them. We do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So any plans to provide some of that produce further to other facilities as well?
Yes, as we continue to grow the crops and we produce in a bigger variety, bigger numbers, we plan on selling it to the local businesses, such as the restaurants, the hotels, etc. Yes, definitely.
Okay, but is that what is no small production taking place a lot?
We wanted to keep it within the community, build togetherness. You know, my boss is very big on community togetherness.
And one of the things, as you mentioned, ducks and that sort of thing, in the post-cabinet press briefing just completed, we had Prime Minister speaking about there's going to be a specific quota of the poultry and so on that has to be produced locally.
Yes.
And so this is a project that's going to help with that as well.
Of course.
I'm glad all you had duck. I know to find the duck now. Ria, I know you're listening. You're here. They have ducks. I won't get the number for you so you could make sure and call. Yeah? So when you're doing the bus up shot and thing, you know where to get your duck, to curry the duck. All right? Or anybody want to do Peking duck? And them kind of, now we in Grenada, we ain't doing Peking duck. Nah. We might do peeping duck. Yeah, peeping duck.
Only peeping duck.
Yeah. In other places that are Peking duck, here we go peeping duck.
Peeping duck.
Yeah, peeping duck. We will try that particular one. If somebody wants to get in contact with Papi's Callaloo Restaurant and Bar right now, you have a number that they can call, make a reservation, that sort of thing. They may be thinking of having a wedding, so they want to visit the facility to see what it looks like, and so what's the number? Who can they contact, and what's the number for them to contact?
Well, they can definitely contact me, and I can put them in contact with part of the management staff that we have there. But my contact number is 929 307 9487. And we will shortly be, going away with that number and having a Grenadian number.
Okay. Yeah. So 929-307-9487. So Wade, out there in Brooklyn, when you're ready to come down and thing, and when you're coming down and you want a lime, and we say we're going up in the falls, all right, we had the number, we know we call it. We're going down there, we calling this Kathy.
Chris,
all right, nice.
Chris, you two organize the loads from London. And come down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah,
You know?
we're booking not none, Chris. You know, sorry, we're booking not none, Chris.
Not me
Terry
that-
and Hannah and them go tell you about we're
Not-
booking
not
none,
me that
Chris.
say Chris, not me.
We're booking not none, Chris. We don't booking not none you. All right, nice. Yeah. I'm seeing on the chat here. I'm seeing that Unison Joseph is saying we need to develop the area around the Sulphur Spring. I'm wondering which one of the Sulphur Spring is he speaking about? Most likely that one would be the one in St. Patrick.
Or the one in St. Andrews.
Or could be in St.
up
Andrew.
in Bylands, going up to Bylands, Maryville side up there.
Yeah, because I know the road itself is having Bylands.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I know the road heading to that facility, there's a lot of issue. Is there's a okay road going into that facility where you all have? I don't know the road. The road is good going in there?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Good.
Yeah.
Has been
Better
pretty
than
good.
like yes. Oh,
Carlo, I had to ask these
No,
questions.
you don't have a problem with
All
that.
right,
Yeah.
nice.
You have good roads right till you're ready to go down to the Seven Falls.
Yes.
Yeah, you know?
Nice. Let me say a good morning to all of you on the live who I did not say a good morning to earlier, and I'm very sorry. Don't cuss me, don't vex with me, that kind of thing. You're right, yeah. Yeah, Devon must like that in truth, Chris. Right. I'm seeing Mrs. James in Northeast office does duck farming also. Me didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't know. No, you see how thing does come out?
Yeah,
Right.
ducks.
Yes.
Right.
Word of mouth is the biggest way to market, actually.
Yeah. Our good friend Muscles, he's saying when he's home, we go in and make a lime date. Nice. I agree. But I go test it out first, though. You feel like waiting.
Wait on you know, we go tell you about it.
Yes, Terry, Bus Up Shot is back on Friday. We're going to put all the information, yeah? We will let everybody know Bus Up Shot is back on Friday.
So
Nice,
Cathy,
nice.
if I this weekend, if I need to go somewhere, relax, and so eat something, drink something in a quiet environment, could I visit Papi's Bar?
More
and
than
restaurant?
definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Just tell me if you're coming with someone. If you want
Most likely would be with someone.
Okay, wine and dine.
Who's someone? See, Brenda, you better call your name, or he ain't going to come inside our house this evening. You better call Brenda name. I'm coming with someone.
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Isaiah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, Isaiah is always there, Yes. So hey, so the invitation is out there for anyone, especially around St. Andrews. So you want to christen it first before anybody else? The invitation is yours.
Yes.
Get up there.
But let me ask a question, because you would have been interacting with your boss and so on. Why did he select Grenada? I'm sure he had the opportunity to take his $1 million and go in St. Vincent, St. Kitts, Trinidad, any other country on the face of the earth, really.
Yes.
Why Grenada?
You know what? Everyone asked me that question. He came here, he visited Grenada, and it sounds corny, but he fell in love. No, he really did.
That.
He did, and he fell in love with the people especially. And as you know, even myself coming back here, I've only recently really started coming back within the last 3 years. And I am now, as I'm getting older, learning and getting younger but older.
Okay.
That's better.
Yes, getting,
because 4 years old wasn't long ago, I'm sure. I just the other day.
Getting an appreciation for Grenada and what it is and its culture and the people. I come here and I just feel at home no matter what. So I think he came here, he fell in love with the place and wanted to develop it, wanted to help develop it, wanted to put more businesses here, wanted to help local communities. And he just started something and now it's growing. And I would love for you to meet him also. He's just a great person.
Okay,
great businessman.
Wonderful. I would like to meet him whenever he's here. Yeah, we will interview him. We interview him. We're afraid to interview him.
No, he's actually here. He's visiting until Saturday, yes.
We will find him.
Yes.
We're interviewing him. Yeah, we're going to interview him. Because and that's one of the enduring features of Grenada. We've had many instances. I've met people before who were touring the world on their yacht or whatever, and they came to Grenada. And some of them, they didn't leave. They arrived and they just decided, I didn't die and I got to paradise. So since it's been that easy.
Heaven.
Yeah, they just bought a piece of land and they decided that they're going to live in Grenada. And there are many others, especially if you go to Carriacou, for instance. You meet some, what they call them, expatriates. From various countries, from the UK and the US and so, who have gone to Carriacou and they have fell in love with Grenada and Carriacou so much that they've just decided, I'm going to live here for the rest of my life. And they've started businesses. They're living in Carriacou You've seen the same thing here in Grenada
Yes.
with several businesses.
I just met
We're glad to have him here.
a young man probably 2 nights ago who said that he's from St. Lucia and came to visit Grenada, fell in love, and stayed here.
You see, we've even taken people from other Caribbean islands too.
Yes, so definitely.
Yeah, Grenada has that enduring quality
It
to
does.
us. And the peace and stability of the country as well lends a lot to that whole discussion. And again, we must continue to congratulate the Royal Grenada Police Force for the excellent job that they do.
They're doing, yes.
But we as Grenadians too, for being what we are. We ain't seen nothing wrong happening and keep we mouth closed. We talking. We go into court and we saying, yes, we see him take the neighbor sheep and go with it. We go in and talk. So he ain't getting away with it. So yes, the police force does an excellent job, but we also have to congratulate the Grenadian people on a whole for being the type of people that we are, that we can keep the very low crime rate.
For militias, man.
Yeah, former militia?
From militias, you see. The militias were those within, they were not army personnel.
See, other soldiers again.
They make up persons from the community. Nothing cannot happen within your community and the militia does not know. Because they're locals. They're me and you.
Yeah. So it's wonderful. We're basically out of time. Anything else you would like the Grenadian public, and not only the Grenadian public, because remember you're also speaking to all the listeners online, the viewers online from around the world, that you would like them to know about this project? Any final thing you'd like them to know?
Well, I'd like for them to know that right now we're open Monday through Sunday. And starting next week, we'll be opening on the evening schedule, which is from 6 to 12. So, we're just telling everyone, come have dinner after work, come have lunch. It's a great place to sit and just relax. It's very quiet. It's music playing. It's just a great place to be. We're trying to do a community involvement as much as we can. We want to build a family there, and that's our main purpose there, and to give back to the community.
Wonderful. And I like this thing. I think if we review the tape, she said the word community maybe about 100 times already.
Yeah, and that's
because
very
it's
important.
very important.
Yes. Very important.
Sometimes you have people who start a project and the word that you hear the most is money.
Yeah.
In this instance, the word that you're hearing the most is community. And we must commend your company, we must commend yourself, we must commend your boss, and all those involved. Booker, morning, boss. I saw somebody call you and tell you the program talking about your Booker. So I know you're listening.
Peter Bain and his family.
I'm sure all of them listening this morning. We'd like to congratulate, and you know Peter Bain and them already. Peter is community guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, whatever it is, he always involved with. I think he has Mother's Day show coming up.
Yeah, the Mother's Day Queen show coming up. So it's excellent. I mean, that's a show for itself. It sells itself.
When is that show?
That is on Mother's Day itself. It usually is on Mother's Day itself. So that would be May the 14th. No, May the what? Where's Mother's Day?
If you ask me,
it's around that time.
13th of May, I think.
It's around the time.
It's the second Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember when Mother's Day is because I don't know when Father's Day, so I stopped remembering Mother's Days. Right. He doesn't treat me nice on Father's Day, so I don't know that.
I take a part of that one. I zip in.
Yeah, a card and a tie. No shoe. Bury some Mother's Day.
Chris, I doesn't eat no duck. I'm a vegetarian, right? I don't eat no duck and them kind of things. So don't include me in that. I will support duck, right? And so they increase.
Try to tell us he doesn't go man eat a little meat in between.
Well, fish.
Doesn't eat a little meat and
well, no, I eat.
So where's the difference? Both of them have a nervous system and blood passing through.
No, one is white meat and the other one is dark meat.
You see,
but it's meat.
No, see, I don't meat. That's not meat.
No, it's not meat.
Flesh.
It's poultry. Yeah.
Flesh. Yeah. The only flesh I eat is fish. Meat, I eat meat every day.
If you cook a goat rope, I eat it too.
No, I eat meat every day. The amount of callaloo and fig and blogo and breadfruit and thing I eat in, that's meat. That's the meat of the food, man.
Salt and all I eat it.
Or to have a ham home there, cut see about.
See how the hair is? Grease that have it so.
You ever... Let me leave. If you only see the pig passing on the side, they eat trouble.
When they find a way to fry the oinka eat in the tunnel.
Yeah, Tia. Tell them leave me alone. I'm a solid Rasta man. You know, I mean, but I can say the last
Drinking out of the pig bucket, though.
The amount of pig and thing I ate when I was a young guy already in the 70s, and so it's, I mean, I could afford to stay away from all these things for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and the good thing about this project here is that you could be sure it's not no plastic cabbage you're getting.
Exactly.
You could be sure it's not no
no 2 years chicken in box and thing you get.
Yeah, no chicken that was killed during the last century. Or during the last decade that you're finding. Yeah, it is locally, grown, and as local as it could get because it's in the area.
Yes, and it's open to the public. You can see us growing these things right there to the naked eye.
No pork from wherever and duck from wherever. Right here in Grenada.
Right there. And then the fruits and vegetables. No set of chemical, no set of fertilizers and that sort of thing in it. It's organic. So I had to worry about after I eat the 10 years down the road, you get a bad news when everybody doctor, you understand? It's totally local, totally organic. And so, and it involves all let me know what you like. 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 Yeah, you know you're eating enough pork in Cuba, that's why. Right?
Depot.
You get sell out. You get sell out. For those of you that may not know, I've been to Cuba, and we know that when it comes to Cuba,
pork is the best way.
Yeah, I got to Cuba and they had a reception on the airport, pork. When I got to the house, pork. When you got up in the morning, pork. When you went to dinner, pork. You got lunch, pork. You had a snack, pork. And then they took you out for a special day and was more pork again.
Pork is part
so,
of it.
I mean, listen. It had
breakfast, lunch, everything is pork.
There was a van passing with some pigs when I was leaving Cuba. I sure see a pig smiling. The pig say, oh, that man gone by. Glad like a sure see a pig smile. Serious. I positive me alone eat a whole pig in that time.
They eat pork so much. They even when you're eating rice, you have to be careful because they pork in the rice too.
Yeah, rice and pork.
They love it.
Yeah.
They love it.
But it's folks, you have the new facility. It's gonna be a wonderful one to visit, and then you can get in contact with Kathy. Again, we'll get when she has the local number, she'll be in contact with us, and
it would not be her last visit here.
Yeah,
no,
and definitely because she actually was supposed to come on the program last month, but you know what was taking place last month. You all know what was taking place last month, so you know that was a kind of difficult time. But remember, you can get in contact with her on 929-307-9487. Right, you can get in contact with her. When we get the local number, we're going to make sure that you get the local number so that you would be able to contact.
Yes.
And you can also, and for those of you, if somebody wants to visit right now, can they just drive up there?
Of course, we're open.
It's open.
Yes.
It's open now.
It's open now until about 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And then as of next Monday, we'll be opening
the second shift.
Yes.
Okay, the second shift. Okay. And anybody that might be interested in applying for a job or so on there, they could come see you all. And so, because I could never tell, next thing you have a good chef in the area and that kind of thing. So we have this project, a project I'd like to see come back to the way it used to be though. And that might lend to this project as well, is the river tubing. I think the river tubing gone down the drain from how it used to be. In the early days, river tubing used to be you go up there on a night, you have a lot of cooking and so on, so you have different dishes and so you have oil long yard, tanya log yard, this yard, that, and you go to river tubing at night, and so it used to be a big thing.
Yeah, right
and
by
then,
Skilly,
it's kind of
look into that.
Level down now.
Okay.
So that might be something like an activity to bring a lot of people into the area again.
Yes.
And
for the Birch Grove, there's a lot of potential in that Birch Grove about
and you know what
area,
is interesting?
area.
What is interesting for the locals and even the visitors too, the whole question of hiking, right? A lot of people hike around these areas, Granny Tang, Seven Sisters, and so. Now you have a facility where they don't have to walk with food and prepare food to come with.
No.
And so they can use that facility right there.
But tell them earlier,
to drink and just make the reservation.
In case you all had a roast a pig or something.
Yes, or some duck roast, some duck or some kind of thing. So, so it's definitely an exciting project. And I really think
I'm pretty excited
Grenadian,
about it. In
yeah.
fact, if I could go this evening, I was going there this evening. You know,
It's a pity this weekend they ain't open up to midnight. I mean, and I definitely visited this weekend.
Yeah.
But I'll make it. Mother's Day is coming up also.
Because imagine night up there, boy.
Yeah,
Imagine
night
it
up there.
definitely wouldn't be cold, wouldn't be hot.
No.
It's
It
going to
would
be
be cool.
cool there,
Ooh.
daytime as well as nighttime, because
yes.
you're getting that breeze
The
coming
breeze
down from
comes
the
in,
delta.
right, yeah.
Plus, the waterfall is going to take away a lot of the
Mhm.
heat there, so it's going to keep the place nice and cool.
Definitely a
And
cool
some
place.
nice local food.
Yes.
And some nice
The area is
local
well
drink.
lighted, so there's lights all around. So
Wow. That's going to be nice. That's going to be nice, nice.
It's another wonderful venue that as Grenadians and visitors we can go visit, recreate, have fun. And not just the couples, but the entire family.
Yes, definitely.
You know,
Yeah,
going
the
up
hashers,
there.
the hikers,
the hikers, everybody. You know,
The people who getting hitched, yeah, those are you
Yes.
getting married.
Yeah,
Head up the
and,
place.
you don't want people to see.
Yeah, head up
hide
the
and
place.
thing. Go up inside there and hide and do your thing, and then
Sure,
go back
sure
and live
that-
as.
there you go. No, but you have waterfall and all kind of things.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah,
walking
man.
distance, so you go, you take your
You
wedding
have
photos.
you have 7 falls.
Yeah, 7 to choose from.
7 to choose from.
Yeah, like the 7 dwarfs. Anyhow, that's all the time we have for Hard Talk today, folks. It's been a wonderful one being here. We'd like to thank you, Kathy.
Thank you for having me.
Papi's Kalalu Restaurant. And folks, this is part of what we'll be doing from time to time, inviting different people to speak about some of the new projects that are taking place in Grenada. Offering an opportunity for you, the Grenadian people, to know what is taking place
To
within your
explore,
country,
yeah.
but also to the international market, because we know we have literally hundreds of you. We were hearing it from one of our friends yesterday, literally hundreds of you that are there in for instance, the Brooklyn area that are listening via Noise Radio. So in the New York State area, those of you in North Carolina, South Carolina, those of you that are listening out there in California, our good friend Panchu and friends who are listening out there. Well, Miami, for the entire Miami, from one end to the other, Washington, D.C. Well, basically, let's just put it like this. All over the United States, we've got listeners who are listening and who chime in from time to time on that. Those of you out there in Europe, in the UK, and in Switzerland and so on who are listening.
Toronto, and you know, wherever you are.
The people who came last year, November, the 40 or so persons that came over from Switzerland, and they from time to time listening to Hard Talk. They came over on a tour, and so now they know of a new facility now when they come back to Grenada, because they all are saying that they definitely will be coming back to Grenada. So now they know of a new facility that they can visit as well when they're here.
Yeah, and we want to encourage all the different schools, and so it's a new venture. You know about the Seven Sisters. Now you have somewhere where you can gather, recreate, and have fun, right, in the rainforest. You know, so the students and schools and so
It's for everyone, yes.
Take the opportunity to visit there. It's also historical. I mean, there's a lot of history behind that area there, but that's for another program.
It's a lot of history now.
There is.
Brave boy.
Yeah.
You will link us.
Definitely. That's the man I'm talking about.
Yes, I was told that there's a lot of history there.
Oh, there is.
Yes.
There is a lot of history there.
Well, let's stump me on that one. This one, Sheldon don't know.
Yeah, that one you wouldn't know. That's hidden treasures.
Brave boy, let's stump me on this one. Yes, folks, as we said, that's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. It's been wonderful being here with you. I'd like to thank all of the stations. 97.5 FM City Sound.
89.5 CRFM.
92.9 Sister Al's out there in Carriacou. Love me, people!
Yeah, and 94.9 We Vibes Radio in Brooklyn, New York.
And all of you on the website, www.hardtalkgrenada.com, and on the Facebook page. We'd like to thank all of you. There will be a rebroadcast of the post-cabinet press briefing and today's program tonight, starting at 8 p.m. on 89.5 and from 10 p.m. in Brooklyn on 94.9, plus the live will be available on a few minutes after, Nazim, just about five minutes after, less than 5 minutes after, 2 minutes after National Report. Right, so we're having the National Report as soon as we're done, and you'll be able to view the program again. So remember, if you need to get in contact with Kathy, you can on 929-307-9487. You can get in contact with her, and you can find out more.
Just call us. We'll give you the information.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Call us. So you know how to find.
You know how to find Hard Talk.
Nice.
And we share all the information.
Yeah. So that's all the time we have. We'd like to thank you. In whatever you say, whatever you do, do it safe and secure. because we like to be speaking to and with you.
And not about you.
Yeah, so that's all the time. I wonder what we have for them there. Let me see what song we have for them when we go in.
Adrian Belly, reality is reality. Hit me. You cannot sleep, you cannot eat, wondering if you're getting it.
Grenada could receive more funding for anti-corruption efforts. Our top story in today's national report. Stay tuned, we'll have the details to this story and much more when we come back. Welcome back with the news in detail for Tuesday, 24th April. I'm Delroy Luzon. Grenada's efforts to ensure the country is recognized as a best practice in the fight against corruption is paying off. Chairman of the Integrity Commission, Mrs. Anande Trotman-Joseph, says the country could benefit from more funding in recognition of its efforts.
We are perhaps likely to benefit from further funding by the donors based on our persistent requests for assistance, technical assistance, and through technical cooperation that is guaranteed by our ratification and accession to the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Once we ask, the mechanism, the UNODC mechanism, is doing their best to make sure that we are all being trained to world-class standards.
Mrs. Trotman-Joseph was addressing the start of a 3-day training workshop on auditing assets declarations in Grenada. She says while Grenada's anti-corruption system is still a relatively young one in the scheme of globalization, improving their knowledge base means they will be able to claim that Grenada is one of the emerging best practices in anti-corruption. The workshop at the National Stadium is being facilitated by officials from the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, among others. Anti-corruption advisor at the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, Mrs. Virginia Diabajo Marquez, commended Grenada for its efforts as a small country to stamp out corruption.
Let me remind you that the fact that Grenada has ratified the United Nations Convention Against Corruption and the fact that is, as a country, as a government, reaching out to international organizations for help to implement nationally the provisions, it is proof of a strong political will to do something about it. Some countries just ratify and then don't take steps to move forward towards implementation, but Grenada is not only on a learning curve, it's only on an implementation curve to do its best to implement the convention.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Lands is warning persons seeking to bring in Africanized bees, more commonly known as killer bees from Trinidad, to cease this immediately, since the practice is illegal. In a release issued on Tuesday, the ministry says the bees can destroy our native bees and are very harmful to the Grenadian population. It warns that the matter will be treated very seriously. The ministry is also asking all persons engaged in beekeeping and not registered as a beekeeper with the ministry to rectify the situation, since there is a farmers registration process where all farmers registered with the ministry are issued an identification card. This is the National Report. More news when we return.
This year promises to be a spectacular affair as beauties of the Caribbean compete on one stage for the title of Miss Caribbean United. Come see contestants from the islands of Trinidad, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, Nevis, St. Vincent, Anguilla, Dominica, Venezuela, Antigua, Dominican Republic, Margarita, Barbados, and host country Grenada. It's the 2018 Miss Caribbean United pageant, Saturday, June 2nd at the Spice Basket, uniting the Caribbean through beauty.
April 22nd, 2018 will forever be etched in the hearts and minds of Grenadians, especially residents of St. Mark. It was the day after 73 years the Victoria Bridge was renamed after one of its heroes, Petronella Ferguson. Rikisha St. Louis tells us what act was done to earn such an honor.
Ma Pet, or Miss Petty as she was affectionately known, was one of 17 residents who were affected by heavy rains and flash floods which washed away 13 houses on October 4, 1945. 8 months pregnant at the time, she struggled to swim back to shore after the waters took her and others out to sea. It was on her way back that she encountered a situation that earned her the honor bestowed in her memory. She braved the waters and saved the life of a 13-year-old girl. Now 83 years old, Marjorie Batson remembers the fateful night when she was rescued.
Jesus, Lord, I ask for mercy. Let me not implore in vain. So I keep on singing that little song. But in the midst of it, I hear a voice. Somebody calling out, who is it that is there? And the person came to me. When she came, she said, where is Miss Petty? She told me her name is Miss Petty.
Her act of courage awarded her the Stanhope Gold Medal from the Royal Humane Society in 1947. The ceremony to mark the occasion was organized by Parliamentary Representative for St. Mark, Dr. Clarice Modeste Kerwin. In her view, heroes still exist, and there's much to be learned from them.
We recognize that heroes do encourage people to aspire. And I want to say to all of us, and the songs and everything that was said, give us one message, one that we must recognize heroism and goodness in our communities and in our countries, but we must also aspire to be like them. Not waiting for another flood, not swimming out in the sea like my pet did, because I won't aspire that. I know I won't make it with the swimming. But everyone in the sea of life and the floods of life, there are persons that we can take their hand and put them on a piece of floating wood and take them to shore. Let us aspire to do that.
Family and residents say this recognition is long overdue.
We waited for this a long time. We all waited for it. We knew it was coming. She has been our hero for a long time. We knew of the history. We knew her as being heroic. I'm happy that everyone shared that story with you today.
We commend the government of the Right Honorable Dr. Keith Mitchell, and in particular, our very own Dr. Clarice Modeste Kerwin, for their foresight in making today's event a reality.
The monument was unveiled by Governor General Her Excellency Dame Cecile Lagrenade. For the National Report, I'm Rikisha St. Louis.
And finally, in the National Report, officials from the Ministry of Agriculture will be out into the field this week and next week, assisting pensioners with the restoration process. The aim is to raise awareness on what is required of those who have retired. Details from Jerry Malcolm.
As the Ministry of Agriculture resettles into its renovated third floor, preparations are being made for one of its priority projects, the Pension Restoration Program.
The process will involve looking for those persons who retired, whether they were established or unestablished. These are the two categories we are working with now. And we are doing so under the instruction of the Pension Secretariat. Because even the process we now start with the officers to the committee, they had a briefing session with the Pension Secretariat on how to approach the process, what type of data to collect. We are just doing this information awareness so that persons who would have retired from this ministry know that our process will start.
The process has been overseen by 3 of the ministry's officers, Laverne Mapp, Donald Noel and Rena Phillip. They'll be in the various parishes on specific days, assisting pensioners with the process.
We want to start this week, Wednesday and Thursday. We will be at the Grenville Extension Office from 9 to 3. Then on the 2nd and 3rd of May, we're looking at the parishes of St. John and St. Mark, and we'll be at the Guelph Revenue Office. On May 9th and 10th, we're looking at St. Patrick, and we'll be at the Sotez Revenue Office. And then on May 16th and 17th, we're looking at St. David, and we'll be at the St. David Revenue Office. During the other days, Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, we'll be at the complex here. So
all relevant documents must be submitted.
You must have a copy of a picture ID, your first letter of appointment, any other letter of definitive appointment, if different from the first letter, a statutory declaration or declarations where applicable, copies of signed contracts, if retired, a letter of retirement, your birth certificate, marriage certificate, divorce certificate where applicable, deed poll for name change if applicable, and if the person is deceased, if the pensioner is deceased, the death certificate and letters of administration.
For persons who maybe the pensioner died and there are no letters of administration, these are things that the family can take the initiative to look for a JP to help them to put that in place. Because if the pensioner is deceased, we need the death certificate and the letter of administration. Please, if they start collecting and putting together the documents now, we believe that that will help the process to be very smooth and efficient.
And that concludes the national report for today, Tuesday, 24th April 2018. Headline in the news, we heard that Grenada could receive more funding for anti-corruption efforts. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I'm Delroy Louison. Thanks for joining us.